I think they have shown me just how strong I am. And have pushed me to the point that they deserve legacy. And I want them to know that they come from strong women. I want them to know that you can do anything.
And welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk about marriage matters because marriage matters. If you're watching for the first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined as always by my beautiful wife,
Tanya Coleman.
Amen. Hey, Tanya Coleman, how you doing?
I'm well.
You're looking exceptionally lovely today.
Well, thank you.
This shirt here and this ensemble is giving me some take me away for the weekend vibes.
Let's go. My bags are packed.
All right. How about, if you don't pack a bag, how about we just go with the clothes we have on and we shop when we get there?
I like that even more.
How about that?
Let's do it. I like it.
It reminded me of a Cosby Show episode. You remember when they were
when they were dreaming and he was talking about the putting the vehicle in the plane, the vehicle in the vehicle and the plane in the yes.
Anyway,
all of that.
Today is a very special day. Today is Sunday, Mother's Day. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you.
The mother of mothers, the mother of my children.
Yes.
My baby mama.
Your baby mama.
Tanya Michelle Evans Coleman.
Okay, all of the names, huh?
Yeah. So Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much.
So this is your 17th Mother's Day.
It's my 17th. That's unbelievable when you say it like that.
You've been a mother for almost 2 decades.
I know.
Almost a quarter of a century.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been a father just as long.
I know. So, I was just thinking about, becoming a father. And I remember when I became a father. I remember the moment when I realized, or when you told me, and actually we were out of town. Pastor Norman and myself were traveling. I was going with him to a conference in Chicago, which there's been a couple of things that didn't happen where I was with Pastor Norman and Hurricane Rita.
I had to evacuate with Dr. Debbie, me and the...
But anyway, we're talking about the happy time.
Yes.
So me and Pastor Norman were in Chicago. And I remember that night we were at Pastor Winston's church and he spoke this word of, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's something to the effect of your seed multiplying and he was talking about, having kids or whatever. I can't remember. But I remember Pastor Norman was like, hey, he's talking to you. And so I'm like, okay, and lo and behold, when I get home from that trip, I'm talking to you about the trip and I go into the bathroom and wash up, and come back in the bedroom and you're looking at me.
I was barely listening to you because I was
right.
Like, okay, I need you to go in the bathroom.
But you were looking at me. You had this look on your face and I'm like, why are you looking like that? And so you're like, you didn't see the gift that I left you on the counter? And I was like, no. So I went back in the bathroom and I'm looking like, gift? I'm looking for a box or something, And you was like, look right there. And it's a pregnancy test. And I'm like, oh, are you serious? No way, So I remember that moment, becoming a father. Yeah. So thank you for making me a father.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure, my honor.
Yeah.
To be the mother of your children.
Yeah.
Your baby mama. Your babies.
And
mama.
So we also want to give a special Happy Mother's Day to our mothers.
Yes.
The women who, if it were not for them, we would not be here today. So extra special Happy Mother's Day to Deborah Ann Thomas.
Love you, Mom.
And Lena Mae Coleman.
Love you, Mom.
We just really appreciate you guys, the sacrifices, all of everything, the life lessons, that you've taught us and just life itself. We thank you and we honor you today.
Absolutely.
For that. We are who we are today because of you. And also, we want to give a special Happy Mother's Day. I almost said happy birthday. Happy Mother's Day shout out to Keisha Nicole Jacobs. I'm using
everybody full names, huh?
Names today. Keisha Nicole Jacobs.
Yes.
And Yolanda Maria Kokai.
Yes.
Happy
Mother's Day, sisters.
To our sisters. And all of our friends, family, you know who you are. I can't go down the whole list.
Yeah, we won't go down the list.
Yeah. So just very special Happy Mother's Day. And also to every other mother, you know, and I want to talk about this a little bit today, but other mothers who have mothered us,
mother figures
in our lives, you know. As I was thinking about this morning, I just began to reflect back over my life. And man, there were some key moments in my life where I can remember certain mothers. And I want to say this too. I want to just encourage all women out there. Everyone needs a mother figure or that woman in their life to speak into their life. And so I just want to encourage all women. I mean, I know I've seen you do it, you know, even outside of our girls, they're women. Now, I remember when you had the Free to Be girls group.
The mentoring group.
The mentoring group, just pouring into those young girls because everybody doesn't have a mom and everybody doesn't have that female figure in their life who gives them words of encouragement and enrichment and empowerment. Right. So just real quick, I just want to go through some of those women.
Okay.
And so while I'm doing mine, if you hadn't thought about it, you can think about yours. So the first one, and this is outside of our mothers, you know, of course, all credit and glory and honor goes to them. But I remember this one key pivotal moment in my life. I was in fifth grade. My fifth grade teacher, Miss Stewart. And Miss Stewart was just a special person, you know. She was one of those teachers that Miss Stewart didn't. She was like Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark don't play. Miss Stewart didn't play. And I remember she would, if we would get in trouble, she used to make us write run, the definition of run in the dictionary. And I remember I got in trouble and she made me write run. So I turned in like the first 2 pages or whatever. And I told her whenever I finished the rest, I'll turn it in. Well, I'm trying to be slick. Like E.T. say, nickel slick and get over. And I told her, I said, I already turned all my stuff in. And so she was like, she didn't, you know, like a true mother. She was like, okay. And she knew I didn't, you know. So she went through all her paperwork and she found my original stuff that I turned in. And I remember coming in from recess and she just right there had this big conversation with me about being a man of integrity. You know, she knew my parents and she knew how my parents brought me up. And she had this conversation with me about being a man of your word and being a man of integrity and how important that is in life. Big impact for me. Yeah. And I guess fast forward, I guess the next person for me, and I know I'm probably missing over, but these are just ones I can think about today. But once I graduated high school and at the time I was going to McNeese and I was at Christian Baptist Church. And, you know, at that time in my life, I was really, you know, I grew up in church all my life, but I got to a point where, you know, I needed to form my own relationship with God and my own belief system about God.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't just live off of my parents. So there was just one woman, Miss Stevenson. Miss Stevenson, I don't know, for whatever reason.
It's Carolyn Stevenson.
Carolyn Stevenson. We connected and I don't know what it was, but she just kind of adopted me. You know, and I remember her kids if I remember Fred, be like, leave my mom alone. But for whatever reason, we just kind of clicked. And I remember one of the greatest impacts she had, you know, she would always talk to me about the word, but she gave me a cassette tape of Tony Evans. And I wore that cassette tape. I knew I probably could quote that or talk along that, you know, teach that sermon with them. So every time I would come and I bring that tape back, she'd give me another Tony Evans tape. And so I remember I was in summer school and that summer I just listened to Tony Evans.
That's amazing.
And that was big for me. I had never did that before, like listen to somebody teach the word.
Right.
So totally changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess around that same time is when Dr. Debbie came into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just a powerful mother figure
Mm-hmm.
in my life. Many conversations.
Mm-hmm.
One in particular, I can remember her just telling me, you know, you were a good son.
Mm-hmm.
And she would just tell me that over and over and over. And she was just speaking, you know, she was crying when she was saying it, of course.
Yeah.
You know, and she was, you know, I'm trying to
She would cry, which made you cry.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it back, you know, but, you know, and awesome. And still to this day, you know, is every time I see her, she always has a word to speak into my life. And then I would also say, you know, after her, I would say it would be Pastor Angela Abney. You know, Pastor Abney and I, you know, we grew really close. And I can remember going to their house and just being in that environment of, you know, another Black African-American family who also had daughters. You know, they had the 3 girls and just it was a thriving, positive family environment. And I think they came along right when we're starting our family. And I think, you know, God always has the ability to put people in your life who can get you through the next season and bring you to the next season of your life. And so, you know, I'm forever grateful to her and Pastor Allen because I gleaned so much from them just watching how they interacted with their girls and how they interacted with each other. And so, you know, so my point in all that is you never know who you're impacting. And so I'm just being I want to be an encouragement to all mothers, not even mothers, all women out there, you know, to just be aware that whether you know it or not, you are impacting other people's lives. Absolutely. So, you know, something to be aware of. So those are just some of the women that I know have impacted my life in a motherly role. So what about for you? Other than our mothers, I want to keep saying that.
So other than, you know, my mom, your mom, the first person I think of is my Aunt Dolly. My mom, when I was born with 2 holes in my heart. You know that, you know my story. And my mom was a young mom, you know, she was trying to figure out how to get me the care that I needed. I needed open heart surgery, you know. And so she decided to join the military, to make sure that I was able to get the care that I needed. But I was a baby, you know, and so she needed someone to take me while she went on, you know, into the service to make sure that I had the medical care that I needed. So one of her older brothers, and his wife.
I just want to stop you.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to keep you through, but I just want to, again, what an awesome sacrifice or commitment that your mom made.
Absolutely.
For you. You know, she had this baby who was sick and she didn't know what she was going to do. They were telling her that you needed the surgery, which was hundreds of thousands of dollars. She didn't come from a family who had that kind of money. She didn't have that kind of money. Your dad didn't have
that kind of money.
And so she's like, you know what? I'm going to join the military because they said that they would pay for my child. So I'm going to, you know, and I don't know if she had any other plans or if she had dreams of being a singer or
that was my dad.
She still has dreams of being a singer.
She still has dreams of being she said the Lord said to make a joyful noise.
But you know, I didn't know, you know, I don't know what her plans were, but she put all that aside. And that's, you know, the love of a mother.
Absolutely.
You know? So I'm sorry, I just wanted to highlight that. That's
absolutely true. That's, you know, I definitely honor her for the decision of doing that to literally saved my life. You know, literally. But yeah, so she asked my uncle Charlie and my Aunt Dolly, whose real name is Brunetta. But we called her Aunt Dolly, and they both gone on to be with the Lord, to take care of me while she went and did that. And no, they loved me as if I were their own child, you know, and took care of me if I was their own child. You know, Aunt Dolly was tough. She didn't play any games. She didn't cut any corners. She was, like she was a tough cookie.
Yeah.
But she loved in her way of loving, and I learned so much from her. One, about integrity. She, as I think about it, she was really a woman of it. It's like she hated, don't lie. Like, don't lie. Yeah. That was like a big thing for her, She was a woman of integrity, of her word. She worked hard. She was all about, she had a spirit of excellence. She was a janitor, she did housekeeping at a hotel. And then she went to work for the school system as a janitor. When I tell you she operated in a spirit of excellence, and that's something that they talked about at her funeral, how, she operated at that level and will push other people to operate at that level. But my love for cooking, that started with her. My mom cooked, but she didn't have a love for cooking, her and my Aunt Shirley, definitely. But yeah, so she has been that mother figure. I've come and gone from her home like any kid that, leaves home and needs to come back, you know. She's been a mother figure to my mother, so definitely her. Both of my mom's sisters, Aunt Shirley, Aunt Mary Jean, have definitely played a role as a mother figure in my life in some form or fashion, and I've gleaned some things from them. And definitely Dr. Debbie is, she's been in our lives for a really, really long time. And she has imparted so much into me over the years, about being a woman, about being a mother, about being a minister, all those things I remember. One time,
excuse me,
she, we did a retreat at Dry Creek, right? Mm-hmm. And when Dr. Debbie does stuff, especially back in the day, it was like it was over the top. So that was the time that she actually had the Ark of the Covenant built, built. So we were hauling this thing everywhere. So anyway, we had this retreat at Dry Creek. And so when Dr. Debbie prays, when she ministers and she prays, every person in the room who comes up for prayer is going to get prayed for.
I was on the keyboard once for a Dr. Debbie altar call, and I can attest.
Yeah, you going in, right?
Oh, yeah. So, I think eventually I had to just put on the CD, bro.
So we were doing the retreat, and I think we had gone through one of the sessions, and we, had prayed for everyone and, had been ministered to everyone. And so we went back to, I think she and I were sharing a room, or I was in her room or something like that. And I just had to lay on the bed, and I laid down. I was pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant. I laid down, and like my lower back was not I'd say killing me, but you know what I mean? It was killing me. It was so bad. And I was just like, oh my God, my back. She said, oh, you want to be a minister, huh? She said,
that wasn't Dr. Debbie. That was
Debbie Shuay.
That was Debbie Shuay.
She was like, I will never forget that. I had to laugh on the inside. I was like, oh my God, I am so, but thinking about it now, I was expecting Bethany, but I had no idea that I was expecting yet.
Bethany or Bailey?
That was Bethany.
It was Bethany.
Mm-hmm. At that retreat. So that's one of my funny memories of her. But she always says that she wanted to give to women something that she didn't have because she lost her mother at an early age. Wow. So when you're talking about mothering other people, and she lives that. She lives it out loud in her life. So I definitely appreciate her in that way. Thinking of other people who have been mother figures in my life, there's been so many over the years. I couldn't even name everyone, but there have been many women. I think about I just slipped my mind. That fast. There definitely, I saw Pastor Adrena Alexander this weekend out and about at an event. She was one of those women, where just her watching her continence and watching her be heard and do what she's been called to do in ministry was really, it spoke to me, you know, watching her raise her kids in church when they were young, you know, and manage them, was powerful to me. Miss Susie Frank, you know, we spent a lot of time with her back in those days after church and things like that. And she was definitely, you know, a mother figure. And, of course, my mother-in-law, you know, I think she has definitely been a second mom, you know, another mom to me. And even when we were dating, when you were at McNeese, I would be at her house some weekends hanging out, you know, with her. And it's just, I think God gives us what we need in the season that we need.
Absolutely.
You know, and so all of these different women have come into our lives, you know, come through our lives, been in our lives for a season. You know, Pastor Angela also, you know, she's one of those women for the same reasons. Here she was a woman who's raising girls and just a beautiful family. And I have called her, you know, on occasion to ask her advice and insight, you know, with certain things with our kids. So God definitely gives you what you need when you need it. And I definitely appreciate all of those women. I know I probably didn't touch on everyone, but I definitely appreciate all of those women that have come into my life.
For sure.
And Pastor Angela's going to be on the podcast this month.
Excuse me.
Talking about motherhood. So
okay. Well, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So, but yeah, and we just wanted to give you some examples. And like Tanya said, those are just a few of the women who have just really poured into us. And like you, I think that was really great when Dr. Debbie said, I want to give other women what I didn't have. And, you know, you have something to offer.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, the Bible talks about that, how, you know, the older women and it doesn't mean old as in like,
right. It means more mature and experienced.
Experienced women to teach the younger or the inexperienced, and younger or immature. And that word immature is not necessarily a bad
negative
thing.
word, right?
And I like the fact that you said that you were open. That's the other thing. We have to be open to that.
Right.
We have to be open to people. And like you said, to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And I've never been in this place before. You have given me some advice.
Right.
You know, so it's great to have those women in our lives so we can call and get that advice or that encouragement from. I guess, and you know, well, you were talking about your aunt, so I guess I got to mention some of mine. You know, like Aunt D. Because she was, you know, my mom and dad, during the summers, I always said they deposited us in DeRidder. They would go and drop us off. I don't know. To me, it seems like forever, but it probably was only like 2 weeks. And we would just stay with her. And I tell you, I mean, I don't think my mom them gave her any money, but she fed us. She took us to the movies, took us to the skating rink. Took us swimming. We went swimming pretty much every day, you know, and so, you know.
She's such a fun person.
Yeah.
She was a fun aunt to grow up with.
Aunt Viv and Vivian, you know, she, for a while, lived not far from us and then for a while right directly behind us, you know, and so just all the women who have also, you know, all my aunts, you know. Yeah.
They're awesome. They're all great.
So happy Mother's Day to all of you, and thank you all for everything that you've done for us. Every meal cooked, every whipping given, all of that. We're thankful for all of it.
Yes.
So in the last little bit of this podcast, I just want you to share your mothering experience, becoming a mother, and just what that journey has been like for you.
Wow, that's a loaded question, as they say. Becoming a mother was by choice. You know, we made a decision when we got married that we were not going to have kids right away because we wanted to experience being a young married couple without kids for a little while, and we did that. You know, but then when we were ready, we stopped taking precautions to not have a kid. And it took us about 6 months, before we got pregnant with Bethany. And I experienced watching other people become pregnant before me. And, a little bit of kind of that hope deferred kind of thing happened in my heart for a little while. But I just continued to pray and trust God. And, he blessed us, to become parents. And the joy of that hit initially. And probably a little later down the road, the fear of that hit, that, I am going to be a mother. That's huge. Yeah. And then finding out that, I'm expecting a daughter, and it's just like, okay, I want to do a good job, I think for me, I've always been intentional about how to, I guess, mother. I feel like with Bethany, it probably, like most first-time moms, I was reading all the books and, doing all of the things and trying to learn, how to do this. We went to the birthing class, the new parent class, and, did all the things. Yes. Did all of the, I guess, textbook things, only for her to get here and realize we still don't know what we're doing.
Nothing. Sorry, Bethany.
Yes, but what I did know was that I wanted her and, any other children after her, which one, of course is Bailey, but, not knowing who was coming after Bethany, that to know that they were loved by their mom. Yeah. And dad, of course, but, talking from the mother's perspective, learning to be, over the years, I realized parenting our girls and mothering our girls, that I had to, in order for me to love them the way that they deserve to be loved, I had to learn to love me. Mm-hmm. My children have caused me to want to be a better me. Yeah. They have caused me to really work through a lot of my own fears and insecurities, to deal with my trauma history, because I don't want those things to be passed on to them, and I want to teach them that, everything in life, it's not going to be perfect. Yeah. You're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you cannot overcome them and you don't quit. Yeah. They have, when they were little, they challenged me in ways, just rather it be the demand of time and attention that I wanted to give to them. But they also pulled on it, their need and desire for learning, which, I know was imparted in them because that was important to me. And so taking the time to teach them at home, before my kids ever went to school, we were working on things and they were learning at home, reading to them, teaching them how to pray, being intentional about to introducing them to God and the concept of a relationship with him, and, all of those things. All of that happens because we chose to do it on purpose, intentionally. Over the years, as they've gotten older, I never knew, and I say this, I never knew how angry I could get at other people until I had a child. Mm-hmm. I remember Bethany, she was going to Mother's Day out. Mm-hmm. And she was about 4, and she has always loved to learn and love school. And so she wanted to go to school every day. Mother's Day out was only 3 days a week. So I'm like, this girl wants to go to school every day. Okay, well, I'm going to bring you, to the full-time school and, do all this. And you remember that?
I remember.
And she gets over there. She's an older, she was like an older 4-year-old, and a lot of those kids were new 4s. So, when kids are that young, a few months makes a difference in their behavior, and plus she's already a super, super smart kid. She hated it. A lot of those kids cried a lot and, all these things. And so I went one day and to bring her lunch because I saw what they were having for lunch. I was like, she's not going to eat that. She hates green beans. Just like, yeah, no. So I packed her lunch and I went to bring it. Well, the secretary was like, oh, I'll bring it back there for you. I was like, no, I'd like to take it to the classroom. And so I get there to the classroom. I'm not going to go into detail, but I didn't like what I saw, And so I'm knocking on the door and the teacher doesn't hear me. There's a kid or two screaming, and she's turning around and screaming back at the children. And she's trying to put Dora on. I'm like, why are we watching Dora at school? We can watch Dora at home. And so anyway, finally, she said, come in. I never did try the door because I was like, I'm, respectful. Yeah. And so she yells, come in. And so I walk in and she's like, oh, hi. Like she was surprised that it was me. And in that moment, I just did not like what I saw. I didn't like what I felt. My baby was I could see that she wasn't enjoying her experience. And she said, how can I help you? And I had her lunch bag in my hand. I said, I came to get Bethany. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, I came to take her home. She won't be coming back. Were you just going to take her out just like that? I said, yes. And then she made some comments, about, her maturity, her being, not being as smart as I, whatever. And I was like, yeah, can you pack her supplies up? I'll come back by and get them later. Because I felt literal heat rise up. And I was like, Lord, Deborah Ann is about to come out. I love you, Mama. But she was about to get it. So I got my kid, I didn't even have her car seat. I buckled her up in the car.
Wow.
And I think we were in your truck for some reason. I buckled her up in that truck. And the first person I called was my mama. And she was like, bring me my baby. So I had never experienced, because I've always been a real calm, go with the flow, easygoing, compliant kind of person. But when you have kids, like Mama Bear will rise up, and I have been that ever since. And, I find myself fighting for them spiritually, fighting for them mentally and emotionally, academically. Like, I didn't know that I would go to bat or go to war for anyone like I do for those two, and teaching them to advocate and do the same for themselves. I'm not mean and ugly, but I'm very firm and straightforward when it comes to dealing with people and those kids. Yeah. Because I already know, Yeah.
Oh, I know. I've experienced Mama Bear.
What you mean?
I've experienced Mama Bear.
You experienced Mama Bear? I got you too.
Yeah.
But I'm, and not in a, I guess, overbearing way, but in a way as in sometimes people feel like they can treat you or your kids a certain way.
Sure. Yeah.
And you have to let them know.
Yeah.
That not these two.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I'm not going into detail of that.
Yeah.
But, I think they have shown me just how strong I am. And have pushed me to the point that they deserve legacy. And I want them to know that they come from strong women. I want them to know that you can do anything. You watched your mom go back to school at 42 years old, and complete schooling and completely change her career, again, and start over again. You can do anything that you make up your mind to do. Yeah. I want them to know that you have the right to speak your mind. You have the right to act on what God put in your heart, to be able to build something that I can either pass that on to them, or they can just take the blueprint and create their own.
Sure.
I don't know if I didn't have kids, if I would have that fire. And for me, I feel like it developed later in life, but it's there. And there's a determination to do it, and take the steps to do it, because I want them to know that you can do anything that you put your heart and your hands to.
Yeah.
And to have the faith and believe that you can do it. Have the faith in God, but also have the faith in yourself. I think sometimes I'm just trusting God and I'm believing God, but we doubt ourselves. Mm-hmm. Like God wants, you have to believe in yourself and what he put on the inside of you, and so I want that for them, which means that as a mom, as a woman who struggled in those areas, I have to fight for it in myself, and I think sometimes it can be misunderstood by people, but I've gotten to the point now that doesn't matter, because I can't sacrifice their legacy because of what other people think and feel.
That's so good. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's the I guess the warrior in me comes out. Those girls have brought that out of me, and we have our moments, as they're figuring out who they are. And sometimes that means that we clash.
All of y'all warriors.
But I tell them all the time, that I love you without measure. And I mean that with every fiber of my being, that I love you without measure, and I'm going to fight for you. Even in the moments that I'm fighting with you, it's because I'm fighting for you.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was texting, my two best friends, Erica and Brandy. We have our little group chat, and we talk a lot about our families and how we're raising our kids and praying for them. And I was like, I think I've gone back to pulling out my oil. And I'm anointing doorknobs and pillowcases and doing all that kind of stuff. I said, I know it sounds churchy. And Brandy was like, no, it don't sound churchy. That's biblical. I said, yeah, you're right. But that is when I say I fight for them, those are the things, and teaching them how to fight for themselves. Yeah. Because they have a lot in them. Yeah. Sure. Eyes haven't seen and ears have not heard.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am.
So, Well, I don't know if I answered the question.
No, that is great. I think you gave a lot of information there, and I think it was great. I think you're a phenomenal mother. I was going to say woman, but you're a phenomenal woman, too. We're talking about motherhood, but you're a phenomenal mother. And I've seen the growth, and I see you trying. I see the struggle. And to me, that's a good thing, because the struggle of being a good parent is that's what it is. It's not it's and I say struggle, but it's a striving. Let me say this.
Yeah, that's a good word. The striving.
Because there's so many parents that just don't care.
Yes. Or they give up and they say, I can't do anything with this kid.
So so real quick before we leave, just talk to the mothers out there, maybe like the new moms and maybe the moms who are in the season that we're in. We can't speak to the empty nest and how to parent from.
We're not there yet.
But we can talk about
adult kids.
Yeah, we can talk about the teenage years. That's where we're at now. So maybe just briefly talk to new moms and then those moms who are getting ready to launch their kids out into this next season, this next level, college, career, all that kind of stuff. Kind of speak to them a little bit.
Well, first of all, to the new moms, enjoy the moments. Like, sit in those moments with your little one, with your baby. Like, literally take the time to hold them close to you. and look into their little faces, look at all of their features and their hands and their feet and smell them and enjoy those moments. I know, there's this thing in culture that, oh, you can't hold that baby all the time. You're going to spoil them. Hold that baby. You are building contentment and attachment with that baby, that baby that is going to carry on through the rest of that baby's life. The confidence of security, knowing that someone is there for me, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Take the time to do that. Enjoy those moments, even the hard moments, even the middle of the night moments. Just be present in that moment. I know that it's hard. The days are long, but the years are short. That is probably one of the truest statements I've ever heard when it comes to parenting. The days are long, but the years are short. Enjoy those moments. Take the time to read to them, sing to them, listen to music, dance with them, have fun with your little one. Have fun. That's one thing that I probably wish I would have done a lot more of with them when they were younger, was just take the time to have fun. Yeah. We did it, but we could have done a whole lot more of it.
Sure.
So yeah, just give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself. The more patient you are with yourself, the more patient you will be with them. And as you learn to give yourself grace, the more grace you will extend. I will say the same thing for moms who have kids who are, teenagers, tweens and teens. And, those years are challenging within themselves for completely different reasons, because they're trying to figure out who they are. We say hormones kick in. Absolutely. They're trying to figure out who they are independent of you. And sometimes in that process, it's almost offensive because they want to put distance and they start to show that, I'm not like you and I don't want to be like you. And all of these things, they're, like I said, sometimes it can feel offensive or even like rejection, but they're just trying to figure out who they are, just like you did. Extend grace, be patient, be an ear for them. Also, just get to know them, of who they are becoming. Sometimes we want to hold on to who they were, but remember, we're raising them and training them to launch them out. And so they have to go through a process of becoming and learning who they are. And so you just need to stay updated on who they are, which means you have to you give them their space, you give them a little space, but then you also enter their space, and you have to stay in their business and, who are their friends and what are they into? What are your interests? And give them permission to change their mind. If they don't, my kids danced for years and then they didn't dance anymore, know? And that was fine. That's their choice. I don't have to get out there and dance or play soccer or an instrument, or at this point, Beta is acting. Bethany played tennis. Like, I didn't have to do it. That was their choice.
Yeah.
And so supporting them in those things and just learning, continue to study them and stay a student of them and curious about them and ask them questions and do a lot of listening, more listening sometimes than talking. I know we have to impart and we have to teach. And so we do a lot of talking, but try to listen sometimes more than you talk. And even when you hear things that need to be corrected, sometimes don't do it in that moment. Just listen. And find another opportunity to come back and teach that lesson that they need to be taught. Because they have to know that somebody hears me, somebody's listening, somebody cares, and I can tell you things without you exploding. Sometimes we explode on the inside, and you just need to hold it in for a while and process it. And God will tell you when it's a good time to go back and address whatever that thing is that needs to be addressed. But again, be patient with yourself and be patient with them. Give yourself grace, give them grace, and realize that at this point, Melissa Dunwah says this, that, at a certain point in our children's lives, the parenting switches so much, from parenting and telling them what to do and to now coaching and asking them more questions. And you ask them questions so that they can think for themselves.
Yes.
Because eventually, in a short amount of time, they will no longer be in your presence for you to give them instruction, and they're going to have to know how to answer questions for themselves or make decisions for themselves and think for themselves. Yes, think for themselves. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Well, that was awesome. That was awesome. We appreciate your words of wisdom.
Well, thank you, sir.
And so, you got anything else?
No, just happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Happy Mother's Day, yes.
I hope you guys have a lovely day.
Or evening at this point.
Yes, yeah. And have had a lovely day or evening. Or
whenever you listen to this.
And take care of yourself. If you didn't get something that you wanted for Mother's Day, go and get it for yourself. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. All right, well, that's all we got for you this week. This is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye.